Club legend Ossie Ardiles has come out and said we could be in big trouble. We need to all be together. Spurs midfielder Bissouma has come out and said we know the situation will change. It has just been reported by BBC Sport that Tottenham Hotspur have written to the PGMOL raising concerns over key refereeing decisions. And journalist Ben Jacobs has come out and said that Pochettino is open to a Spurs return in the summer, even if Spurs are relegated. Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. This is another edition of Tottenham News, where I'll be going through all of the latest Spurs news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit the follow button and leave a review if you can. Now let's start by talking about Tottenham Hotspur legend Ossie Ardiles. He's been talking about Tottenham's current situation. He said, "Our job, everyone at the club, my job and the job of everyone at Tottenham is to get behind the team. We are okay right now, but we could be in big trouble. So everyone has to be together to achieve what we want to achieve. Survive this season and then we will see what happens next." Spurs midfielder Bissouma has come out and said, "We believe in each other in this squad. We believe in the coach. We believe in the work that he is doing for us. And we believe in everything. We know the situation will change." Now, reports in Italy are stating that Randal Muani remains a player much admired by Juventus, who are determined to secure his signature when the transfer window reopens in the summer. Now, BBC Sport have just stated that Tottenham Hotspur have written to Professional Game Match Officials Limited, the PGMOL chief Howard Webb, to raise their concerns over key refereeing decisions. The correspondence is focused on what the club views as inconsistent decisions that have led to goals being allowed or disallowed as a result of contact inside the penalty area. Spurs believe they have been on the wrong end of a number of these key incidents this season. TalkSport journalist Ben Jacobs has been talking to Give Me Sport about Tottenham's plans in the summer. He said Tottenham are going to be busy, but it is a period of limbo building up to an uncertain summer, and the sooner that Tottenham can go on a run and get their first domestic victories of 2026, the more they might be able to pull away from the bottom three and then start planning as far as their summer business is concerned. But as long as that relegation trapdoor remains open as far as Tottenham's season is going, they may have to be a little bit more cautious in the market, and we might not get the clarity, therefore, all of the different kind of profiles that they will move for. First priority is getting another recruitment expert. Second priority is to work out who the new manager is going to be, with Mauricio Pochettino being one of the leading contenders and a concrete possibility. And from there, the members of the Lewis family will hope to try and get Tottenham's project on track. Ben Jacobs then goes on to talk about Tottenham's summer transfer plans. He said on that front, there are a few things to say from Tottenham's perspective. The first one is it will be very different for them to hold on to Mickey van der Ven if they do go down. There's been no progress over a new deal for Van der Ven, who has been linked with several clubs, including from within the Premier League. And Van der Ven needs to see proof of project before he is prepared to engage. So we can't say that he is staying or going, but what we can say is that if Tottenham do get relegated, it will be really difficult for them to keep Mickey van der Ven in the summer of 2026. And the same can be said for Tottenham's captain, Christian Romero, as well. Ben Jacobs then goes on to say that Tottenham are looking for a centre-back anyway because of Radu Dragusin has a question mark over his future. A number 6 is also on the cards for Spurs. They haven't yet made a decision on whether they want to sign João Palhinha on a permanent deal, but they are definitely scouring the market for options in the centre of the park, even after Conor Gallagher's arrival. And then a left winger and a centre forward, two other profiles to watch. Richarlison could potentially depart after the World Cup, even though he's getting game time and has had some form comparative to seasons gone by. And on the left-hand side, Tottenham still really like Yan Diomande and also Savinho of Manchester City. But they tried to sign him last summer, and Manchester City at board level blocked that potential deal. Ben Jacobs then goes on to say that neither of those names would be willing to play in the Championship, so Tottenham may have to look at left-sided options of a different calibre and cost and level if they do go down as well, and it's obviously really difficult. Ben Jacobs then goes on to talk about two managers that Tottenham have on a shortlist for the summer. He said De Zerbi feels like he has got unfinished business in the Premier League. The good news, he is no longer connected to Marseille, so as a consequence, he would be a easy hire. The bad news is that De Zerbi is going to bide his time and has already rejected Tottenham once before. Prior to Thomas Frank, both Fabio Paratici and Daniel Levy made a formal approach to him and he said no. And another name to watch, who is also on the list of Crystal Palace, is Robbie Keane, who is doing really well at the moment in Hungary. Tottenham employing Igor Tudor, who has experience as a caretaker boss, was a means of them buying time so they could go through a thorough process ahead of the summer. But the sporting director they are hoping to bring in will play a part as well. So the expectation is, will it be a quicker hire of a sporting director or a co-sporting director, maybe a longer-term review of Johan Langer's role, and then ultimately a higher post, Tudor and Frank, for the summer ahead of the 26-27 season. Ben Jacobs then goes on to talk about managers and the managerial situation. He said Tottenham's approach here is to try and get their co-sporting director in and work with Johan Langer as soon as possible so they can start this process and formally approach managers to ultimately replace Thomas Frank. There's no chance that Igor Tudor, the interim, could get the job permanently, and there are two main candidates at the moment, plus one dark horse. The first is Mauricio Pochettino, and the good news for Tottenham fans is that I am told that Pochettino is open to a return and would not be put off even if Spurs got relegated to the Championship. But if they were a Championship club, they'd obviously have to be able to afford Pochettino's wages, which wouldn't necessarily drop significantly. Roberto De Zerbi is another candidate and is a free agent as it stands, and it is expected he will also be on the shortlist for Manchester United. Now, my thoughts on everything in this episode, and let's start by talking about Tottenham raising their concerns and writing to the PGMOL about key refereeing decisions. Let's be honest about it. Let's be frank about it. In these two games under Igor Tudor, these decisions have not gone our way, and I get the club's frustration. I really do. It's not just been these last couple of games either. There have been a lot. The refereeing, the VAR is completely inconsistent in my opinion, and it is a good idea to raise the concerns and get answers and get explanations from some of these key officials. I'll tell you what, I've seen more of a push of people getting on the London Underground than what we saw. That Gabriel so-called push in the Arsenal game was absolutely ridiculous, absolute joke in my opinion. So let's see what happens. But, this frustration has only grown from Tottenham Hotspur Football Club because, of course, Vicario being mocked on Sunday evening, putting the ball out of play with the free kick. And, there is a lot of frustration at the moment, particularly when Spurs are not winning football matches. So every single key incident, every single decision is going to be looked at very, very thoroughly right now. And when your luck is not with you, then, of course, it makes it even more frustrating. And, let me come on to talk about, what Ossie Ardiles said and what Bissouma said, because Ossie Ardiles is absolutely right. We could be in big, big trouble and we need to all be together. But this fan base at the moment, I tell you what, you see online, so many toxic comments. The manager is being slated. People are saying that Tudor now needs to be sacked after 2 games. He's been brought in to, rescue us. And now people are talking about sacking him after 2 matches. Every single player is being slated. Everything that we do is being criticised and slated. And I tell you what, we live in a very, very negative world right now, and I don't think there's many people behind these players at the moment. And on Thursday, the players do need the fans behind them. They really do. And this is a big problem. Negative energy. There's a lot of very, very negative vibes at the moment. Negative energy all around. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a part of the board, whether you're the manager, whether you're the player, or whether you're a podcaster. You're getting it in the neck right now, and that's the way things are. And I just really do hope and pray for a win on Thursday evening, because Spurs need to give absolutely everything. I just hope that Igor Tudor has worked extremely hard with these players. But as I said in the previous episode, he is not filling me with much positivity at the moment from what he is saying, because he has so many worries. He's been here for 2 weeks and he has lots of Antonio Conte vibes already, but I just hope that he can turn it around. He has been brought in to get results. He has been brought in to make an instant impact for this Tottenham Hotspur team, and I just hope that we can get enough points and get over the line. And like Ossie said, let's wait to see what happens next season. If we do survive and we are a Premier League team, for next year. And as Bissouma said, we know the situation will change. It will change at some point. Spurs will win a game at some point. I just hope that it is sooner rather than later. But of course, every other Premier League team is in action before us, either on Tuesday night or on Wednesday night. So let's see what happens with those results. Ben Jacobs, lots of very interesting stuff from him, and he's absolutely spot on. He's absolutely right. How on earth can Spurs plan for the summer transfer window? How on earth can we do any form of planning when Spurs want to appoint or have 2 sporting directors at the football club? Fabio Paratici has now gone back to Italy, to Fiorentina, so we need to replace him, because apparently the club do want to continue having 2 sporting directors where they share responsibilities and they share certain roles and jobs. And this needs to happen, pretty quickly. This needs to happen pretty fast, so Spurs can plan for lots of things. The day-to-day running of the football club. Who is going to be the next manager? What is the plan for the transfer window in the summer? All of these things need to be in place, and this is why there is a lot of frustration at the moment, because not a lot of people are seeing a lot of positive planning. And who is going to be the next Spurs manager? Your guess is as good as mine. As I've said on many episodes before, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Pochettino walking through the door again. But I wouldn't be at all surprised to see a manager that we've never heard of. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to see someone like De Zerbi walk through the door. It's going to be interesting. But as I always say, and as I've said on so many episodes recently, unless the club change the way we have done things in the past, unless we do things differently and stop making these same mistakes, then we will just keep going round in circles. Honestly, the way that the football club is at the moment, I don't recognise it. And it's sad times. It really is. It's sad times on the pitch. It's sad times off the pitch. Lots of fans at each other's necks at the moment. Lots of fans, very, very unhappy. And, extremely frustrating for all of us. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you listen to this on an audio platform, please do hit the follow button and leave a review if you can. Enjoy the rest of your week and I'll see you on the next one. Stay safe and well. Come on, you Spurs.